Yo, Brother Brian's back in the house. This ain't a house, though. We've had what a spring. Today's the first day of spring. Or yesterday at 11 o'clock at night. Yesterday at 11 o'clock at night, last night, was the first. I don't know why they do that. That doesn't make any sense. But today, let's just say today's the first day of spring. It's been crazy, man. It's just been crazy this year. Um, I've been loading up on my carb stuff, man. I need to kind of find a new place to fish. I'm kind of getting burnt out on where I'm fishing anyway. They just sold that place that I go fishing. They got these new owners, man. This guy, he bought it, and he's an airline pilot. And I think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a madhouse out there this year. I think it's gonna be all kinds of people fishing and stuff. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Yesterday, I'll tell you something. Yesterday, the first time in my life, I mowed my grass in my backyard with a winter coat on yesterday. That's no lie, man. My grass was thick and lush and green and tall. Man, my mower would barely get through it. It's we've had rain and rain and rain, and the grass is growing, man. I was like, yesterday, it's been a few days since it's rained, and I was like, man, I better run over the thing with the mower while it was still kind of damp, but it wasn't wet. And but I had to mow the grass, man. I had to mow the grass yesterday with a winter coat on. Tonight, it's going to be 25 degrees tonight in Dayton, Ohio. You guys hear what I'm saying? What is going on in the world, man? Last week, I think last Thursday in Ohio, round where I live, we had 8 fucking tornadoes. Okay? Uh, there was one that hit St. Mary's, which is a lake. It's a little town, Salina. It's right up, it's about, I don't know, maybe an hour north of me. Okay? And this tornado was coming into St. Mary's. And it kind of bounced across the lake. Okay? And then it went into this little town on the other side of the lake. And when it went into this town, I think the name of the town's called Wapakoneta. Okay, it went into Wapakoneta, and the tornado, it kind of went up. It went up. Okay, you know how they could come down and go up. It went up. Well, when it went up, it passed all that energy to the other side of the storm on the south side of Wapakoneta, right? And it dropped this big old mean F3 tornado. Okay, so the one went up, and the other one came down. And when that other one came down, it was on the ground for 30 minutes. It stayed down for 30 minutes. Okay, and it went from Wapakoneta all the way to Indian Lake. Okay, St. Mary's and Indian Lake, they're parallel. Okay, St. Mary's is west, and Indian Lake is east. So this tornado was going from St. Mary's to Indian Lake. So they're parallel. So it ran all the way across. Then it's probably about 30 minutes if you're driving in a car. They said the tornado was going 55 miles an hour. and it went from Wapakoneta to Indian Lake. And when it hit Indian Lake, man, it tore Indian Lake to pieces, man. You guys probably seen it. It probably was on national news, man. It hit Indian Lake. It just, I mean, because Indian Lake, it's like a weekend place for people to go. There's these little houses, these little trailers and houses and stuff up there. It killed, I think it killed 3 people so far. That I think they're still looking for some people that possibly might have went into the lake. I don't know that, man. I don't know that. I've heard that from different people, but I don't know that. But I do know they said there's 3 people that have died just from that tornado that hit Indian Lake that night, man. And I knew there was going to be some tornadoes coming through, man, just because the way that it was set up. And I'll tell you, man, if a tornado's coming, now don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. I'm going to just tell you what I'm going to do, man. With technology that we have today, okay, in that tornado, it was on the ground for 30 minutes. They were tracking this thing for 30 minutes. You know what I'm going to do? I'm getting in the fucking car and I'm going fucking south, man. I'm not going to sit there and get in the closet, man, and you know what I'm saying? Get in the fucking car and drive. Get the fuck away from the thing. You're not going to be able to save your house, but get your ass out of the house. And during that time, okay, now there was another tornado. There was another tornado that happened about the same time, or about the same time or shortly after, okay? There's this town right up the road from here, just probably, I don't know, 15 miles from my house, okay? 15 miles. It's called Covington. I live in Vandalia. I live at the airport in Vandalia. And right up north, there's a town called Covington. And man, this tornado came out down in Covington. And this son of a bitch was just another very mean, powerful tornado, man. And I was sitting in the garage, right? Like I said, it's only about 15 miles north. And I went outside and I could hear that fucking tornado. It sounded like, you know how they say they sound like a train? It's like, let me give you an example. It was like a train goes over the tracks and you could hear the tracks, like boom, 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 boom. Like it's not thunder. The sound is not like thunder, okay? It's very low frequency, but it's like a boom, 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 boom. And I actually videotaped it. I was sitting there videoing it, and you could see where the tornado, like the flashes were. You could see the flashes on the video, and you could hear. I don't know how well you can hear it on the video, but you could hear it, man. It's like boom, 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 boom. I was like, oh my god, man! And you could hear when it stopped. It just stopped. The whole garage was shaking out here. The whole garage, it was like filled with that very low frequency sound of like, it almost sounded like a machine. You know what I mean? It was like boom, boom. It just had this like a train. It sounded like a train, but not like I would think. I would think of a train be like, it wasn't like a constant. It was kind of like a thumping sound. And man, it just tore Covington up, man. There was people in Covington, man, that their house was totally gone, man. There was no house left. They interviewed this one guy. They asked him, they said, how did you do it all right? He goes, where do you live? And he pointed and the news was there. He's like, yeah, he goes, I used to live there. He goes, but my house is gone. His fucking house was gone, man. Gone, fucking gone. And it was like, 15, I mean, that's close. 15 miles, that ain't nothing. So we've had 8 tornadoes. I've mowed the grass with the winter coat on. It's going to be 25 degrees tonight. It's been crazy. I got a Fragile here. Let's open it up. See what it looks like here. I'll share this with you. Been working. They had me work this weekend. I don't like all that. I'm going to talk about work here in a minute. Let's look at this package here. I kind of like the way they've got this packaged. You could tell that probably some old timer packaged this. I'll show you what I'm talking about. But it's got the clear masking tape, and then he's got this threaded masking tape. He's got threaded masking tape and the plastic packing tape. Okay, and that's just, young people don't do that. You know, no offense to young people, but they wouldn't think to do that. You know, it takes somebody that's probably been around the block with the damn mailing industry. It's in the bubble wrap, very nicely packed. You know, and this is an old record, man. You know, I mean, it ain't gonna be mint. You know, I'm not like you guys out there hunting for mint records. You know, I buy records to listen to, and that's why I bought this one. I bought this one to enjoy, and I hope it's in good shape. He said it was in good shape, so it's an old one, man. This record was pressed in 1956. This is an original. I do believe it. I could be wrong, but I believe that this is an original 1956 Mahalia Jackson, Bless This House on the Columbia label. And I believe this is a mono. If it was stereo, it would say also available in mono, or it would say stereo. And it says nothing here. It says guaranteed high fidelity and 360-degree hemispheric sound, enlarging the horizons and listening pleasure, man. I've been listening to a lot of Mahalia Jackson here lately. Her voice is just growing on me every day, man. I just love her voice. There's a couple songs on here. There's a song on here. If you've never heard it, you should listen to it. There's a song on this album. It's called "Standing Here Wondering Which Way to Go," man, and it's absolutely, and it's one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear in your life. I'm just telling you. "Standing Here Wondering Which Way to Go" is the name of the song. Listen to that. You can pull it up on YouTube and listen to it. It's got "Precious Lord." This is a religious album. I like to think of them as soul albums. You know, I've got a lot of her music, man. I wanted this one. This was what I wanted for my collection. Let's see what the record looks like. I haven't been on it a little bit, so I'm trying to take my time if that's all right with you guys. This is on the Columbia 6i, of course, because it's so old. Then it does look like it's a mono. Let's see here. It's got a little mark here. Very, very light. The record looks beautiful. It's got a star on it. I don't know what that means. It's got a, see the star right there? There's a star. There's a star in the dead wax. Do you guys know what that means? Don't know what that means. It's in good shape. It's in really nice shape. The record, it's in nice. I mean, it's probably going to make some noise. I mean, let's just be honest. It's probably going to make some noise. but it looks like it's in. It looks like it's in pretty damn good shape. It's probably a VG copy, maybe a VG minus. I think there's one little mark on there, right here where my finger is. You can barely see it, but it looks like somebody has accidentally slid the needle across the record, and it's barely, you can barely see it. So I doubt you can even hear it. So yeah, Mahalia Jackson, bless this house, man. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So I seen, I was listening to, I haven't watched much TV, and I turned it on this morning, had it on while I was getting ready to go to work. And I was just listening to the news. They had the election, primary election last night in Ohio. And they were talking about politics a little bit this morning. I don't mind talking about politics. A lot of people, they lose their fucking shit when you talk about politics. I don't understand what's wrong with people. It's like, I'm not trying to get you to, I'm not trying to do none of that. I just enjoy talking about it a little bit. You believe what you want to believe. I'm not trying to program your fucking mind, People are just so sensitive, man. It's like there's a guy at work today. I said something to him about politics. I don't want to talk about politics. I mean, immediately he was triggered. I was like, oh my God, man, you need to fucking lighten it up. But this morning, Bernie Sanders, and I don't know much about Bernie Sanders. I just know he's an old politician. Okay, that's about all I know about him. He's a kind of a liberal, left-leaning, so they say. So, like I said, I don't know nothing about it, but that's what they say. And I'm sure if you know him, you probably know. He's kind of a socialist type person. But, I'm not opposed to none of that, it just depends where you live. If you're into that, that's your thing, go for it. I don't give a shit. I got my life to live. Live your fucking life. But Bernie was on there, and he was saying, they're trying to put this fucking legislation in. Okay, this legislation that we only have to work 32 hours a week. And I was sitting there thinking, ooh, man, I like that. What a great idea. What a fucking great idea for me. I work 4 days a week. I work 5 days now. I work 40 hours a week. So you're saying that I could work 4 days a week, 32 hours? Sign me up, So he said that, and I was like, wow, man, I love it. I got a little bit excited over it. I'm like, where do I check that box, But, here's the thing. Think about this. I want you to think about this, man. I was talking to a couple people today, man, and people, they don't like to talk with me about politics, because I think I make too much sense. I think people, they enjoy where they're at in the world, man. They don't like to deal with reality, But, they say, well, we love, America's free and all this shit, but they're voting on fucking giving you an extra day. The government is voting to give you an extra day off of work, man. Think about that. You are a fucking slave to the fucking, it's just like Pink Floyd says, welcome to the machine, man. And it's true. We are all, slaves to the fucking machine. Now, whether that's a bad thing or that's a good thing, that's another debate. I don't want to debate that. But we are slaves to the fucking machine. Okay? It's just the facts of life. And I was talking to this guy today, and he's like a big Donald Trump guy. And I was saying, man, wouldn't it be nice? And this guy's like fucking 65, 60s, over 65 years old, man. He ought to be retired, I'm 49, and this guy's like 65. And I was telling him, I said, man, Bernie Sanders says something about a 32-hour work week. And this guy's just, he's this body language, he starts doing that, so he starts quirking like he's getting irritated. But, usually people, they get irritated around me. They think before they speak because I'm a big motherfucker and I might rip their fucking head off. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't rip his fucking head off. But if I was a little scrawny pushover or something, they probably would immediately speak what's on their mind, but I could tell that he was contemplating his next move because it might be a good idea to contemplate your next move. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't, like I said, I invite that. He don't know me. I'm a big teddy bear. I'm not going to hurt anybody. But it's nice because I am a big motherfucker and they think I'm going to fucking hurt them if it come out wrong, That's not the case. That's not the case at all. Most people think I'm some fucking white racist motherfucker. And it's sad. It's like, no. But anyway, this guy, he sits there and he's sitting there thinking for a minute. And he goes, well, I've always been raised up that I work 55 hours a week. And I told him, I said, well, it's your life, man. It's your fucking life. You can take that time off, work 32 hours a week, and you have more life. There's so much benefits to the entire world when there's less, what's the words? When there's less consumption. That's the fucking word. Where people are making things and spending their money buying things and stuff, And I'm guilty. You're guilty. We're all guilty, okay? But I'm just saying the world would be a better place if we were a little broker. We would. If we were a little broker in the U.S., the world would be a better place because there'd be less consumption. And this new job that I have, and I was talking to him, and I used this for an analogy. I said, look, let me explain something to you. Because now, I was in the medical industry. Now I'm in the aerospace industry, okay? So I'm making parts for jets and military jets and military helicopters. And God only knows what else I'm making parts for, right? I'm making parts for this. And I use this analogy. I said, I've never floated a jet in my life. I said, how much fucking jet parts do we actually fucking need, I said, in the military, I said, how much fucking jets and bombs and fucking tanks does the fucking military actually fucking need? You know what I'm saying? Why do we have to sit and work? Now, I don't. I work 40 hours a week. But I'm saying, why do you have to work 55 hours a week making fucking parts for airplanes and jets and fighters and bombs and shit? And he looked at me and he goes, that's a good point. He goes, I've never floated a jet in my life. I'm like, yeah. It's like, that's my fucking point. Why do we have to continually make things? We always have to continually consume things. We make new cars every fucking year. It's like, why are we making new cars every year? That's ignorant. How many fucking cars do we need? It's part of, it's fucking mental to me. To me, it's mental. Work, and if you work less, you have less money to go blow on things that people could make. They get these things from from nature. We're destroying nature, like never before to make shit. But yeah, he didn't like it. I said, we're slaves. But, but like I said, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. Because we have to work. Some way, we have to learn to get along and live together. You know what I'm saying? And I told him, I said, what if we just did away with money? Just, your money's gone. You know, no more money. You have to work 30 hours a week. You work 30, everybody works 30 hours a week. You get a job, you work 30 hours a week. You don't get paid. You get everything you need to live. You know, they look at me like I'm crazy. They like, you're fucking nuts. But I told them, I said, you know, we've been mind fucked our whole life. You know, we have been taught that this is the fucking way to do it. And it's like, well, the Indians didn't have any fucking money, and they did pretty well for a long time until the Europeans came over here and fucked them over. You know, but they did pretty good without money. You know, they didn't have rockets and bombs and tanks and jets and fighter jets and fucking Black Hawk helicopters and all this. They didn't have none of that shit. And they got along just fine. It's not going to happen, okay? What I'm talking about is it'll never happen. I understand that. If they was to cut in the United States, let's say the United States, they said, boom, boom, you're done. 32 hours a week. You know why? Because fucking people in the U.S., in this fucking country, they live, if they're working 55 hours a week, they live above that. They don't live within that 55 hours a week. They're way above that. Their fucking house is out of reach. Their car's out of fucking reach. Their credit card debt's out of fucking reach. All their fucking bullshit that they fucking buy is out of fucking reach. They are in debt till their fucking ears. And that's most fucking Americans, not me. I could fucking live on 32 hours a week. No fucking problem, but I would love to do it. Just give me the chance. But I'm just saying, most Americans, they don't live within their means. And if they was to do that, switch it to 32 hours a week, there would be a crash in this country. People would get laid off. There would be all kinds of fucking shit. I mean, think about what I'm saying. All kinds of shit would just fucking, it would just be too much, too fast. Now, granted, I think it's going to happen. Eventually, we're going to go to a lighter 32. I mean, because it just makes sense. It just makes sense that you're not consuming so much. But if they did it like really fast, it'd be really fun. It wouldn't scare me, but it would scare a lot of motherfuckers, man. There'd be a lot of houses for sale. There'd be a lot of cars for sale because a lot of people would be losing a lot of fucking shit they really can't fucking afford to have. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just see things differently. You know, when you start getting gray hair, you start getting older, man, the things that used to be important to you, they're just really not that important anymore, man. I went out and I bought 2 new fishing poles. Man, and I bought me a couple old fishing reels. This is a new reel I just recently purchased. It's old. Nobody buys things like this anymore. An old Mitchell. This is a Mitchell 400. Nobody buys things like that anymore. I do. It was cheap. I love I've used those reels my whole life. And I said, you know, this year, I'm going to buy me a couple little Mitchell reels. I'm going to buy me a couple new rods. And I'm going to start fishing some different places this year. You know, and they were cheap. It was like $20. You know what I'm saying? It was cheap. You know, but, you know, we have to have the latest and the greatest, the biggest and the most expensive. Just look at the fucking cars. The cars are junk nowadays. The fucking computerized cars. Man, that fucking computer goes out, you're fucking done. You better have a warranty. You know what I'm saying? You better have a fucking warranty because you ain't fixing the motherfucker. The computer's going to shut your transmission down or it's going to destroy your transmission. It's going to fucking just shut it down. You ain't going to be able to drive shit. I mean, it's just crazy. And they do it on purpose because when the shit starts going down and the warranty's up, you have to go buy you a new car. Cars don't last like they used to, and they do that on purpose. They do it with everything. Televisions, cars, the fucking stereo equipment that you buy nowadays, man. Everything new that you get is fucking junk. and it's super expensive, $50,000 for a junk ass car that you're only going to drive for fucking 5 years. It's fucking insane, man. But I'm not being negative. I'm just doing a video. I figured, I'm going to get on here, speak what's on my mind, show you guys my new Mahalia Jackson record, which I'm very, very glad to have this. We are blessed, though. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are fucking blessed. These youngsters at my new job make fun of me. They laugh at me. Let me tell you about it. They laugh at me. This one guy, he's like 30 years old. He said, you old motherfuckers, gray hair. Guys, best thing you got going is a record player. That's what he said, 'cause I showed him my record player. I'm proud of my records and my record player. And I showed him that. He's like, you guys gray haired, listen to records and record players and shit. He goes, you guys need to fucking retire, blah, 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 And I'm sitting there thinking, how miserable your life is, how miserable that you can't sit down and put a record on, man, and listen to some Mahalia Jackson, man. I'm fortunate enough, man, that I could play some old 1956 Mahalia Jackson on some fucking KT88 tubes, baby. He'll probably never get to experience that. And you, my friends, you guys get the same experience as me, man. It's wonderful. It's fucking absolutely wonderful. We are blessed, man. So, it's all Brother Brian's got for you, man. Thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate y'all.